Welcome back to another episode of All or Nothing in Real Estate. Matt Smith here, the founder of All or Nothing in Real Estate. As a reminder, this podcast is a movement to give back to this amazing industry that has given so much to me and my family. Guys, I've got a very special episode for you today. I feel like I say that all the time, but I just keep getting so many comments and so many of you saying thank you. This is exactly what I needed, or even suggestions on what's important. And one of the things I pride myself in is that I'm in the trenches. I'm doing this right alongside you. I'm a coach for some of the top teams in the country. I'm a team leader for one of the top producing teams in the country, and I'm in the trenches every single day right alongside you. And so with that being said, I want to bring you what's real, what is raw, and what is relevant. So recently we did a go to the board session with our team, which is like a goal setting, where are we at, where are we going type of meeting with everyone, with all of our agents. And to end that, I closed out that session with some inspiration around what is your identity? What is your identity? Because I believe that so many of us struggle with an identity crisis. Let me give you an example, and you'll hear more, right, throughout this episode. But I think that so many of us struggle to do more because we get comfortable. I think so many of us struggle to get outside of our comfort zone or to do something that isn't quote unquote normal, doesn't feel normal to us, because we have a thermostat, an internal thermostat of our life that either heats us up to where we need to be or cools us back down to where we are more comfortable. And there's a lot of psychology around this. I got a lot of it from Ed Milet. I have my own use cases and different things. And so I hope you guys enjoy this one. This is behind the scenes. This is real. This is raw. This is a speech that I gave to my team around identity, and you are who you identify as. And how do you grow your identity? How do you change it? How does it affect your behaviors? And so I hope you guys enjoy this one. And as always, we appreciate you. And I know you will enjoy this one. I'm going to change that. I know you will, because this will make an impact no matter where you are. Understanding what your identity is, or what you see your identity as, will change everything in your life. So enjoy.
Sometimes we identify as someone that makes $50,000 a year. Once we do that, we're like, I can breathe out. And do you know people that have stayed there the rest of their life? I do. But do you want to, and maybe you want to be that person, and no judgment if you do, but I also want to encourage you, if you want more, this is the environment we can help you get more. But do you get before you become, or do you become before you get? If you are a $50,000 person and you want to become a $75,000 person, do you get the $75,000 and then you become the person that gets $75,000? Or do you get the habits, the routines, the rituals of someone that is a $75,000 earner, and then you become a $75,000 earner? That makes sense? I think too many people, and I love seeing the heads nod. It tells me I'm in the right room. There's so many people that don't get that. And they think, well, like, if you give me more, then I'll do more. It's just not the real world. You got to do more, and then you get more. And it doesn't happen. I mean, who knows? Timing's weird, right? Whether it's your faith or whatever you believe in, timing's weird sometimes. There will be times where you do it for a year straight, and you're like, fuck, is this ever going to work? And then you're just one more thing away, and then complete transformation of your life. You just never know how close you are. But if you give up on the pursuit of that next version of yourself, or that next 1 degree in temperature or 5 degrees in temperature of your life, has anyone ever felt like they've overachieved before in their life? Be honest. Show of hands. Anyone felt like you've overachieved? And it could be one day, it could be one thing, it could be one sale, it could be one event, one sports thing when you were a kid. Has anyone felt like they've overachieved before? There we go. Thank you for the honesty. Do you know why you don't continuously overachieve? Because we have a thermostat. You don't identify as an overachiever yet. That made you uncomfortable when you started overachieving. And so we just tuck back and we're like, oh, that was too much. And I think a lot of it, he mentioned like your environment. And I think like that's why one of the things that I love about this environment, why I go to the rooms that I do, and why I spend the time on days like today to talk about things more than just the numbers. Because it's not just numbers. Business is about people. And if we can help you change your thermostat internally to accomplish the next thing, that helps the person to the right of you and the left of you. And that gives more bar belief to everyone. And then we all grow together. And that's how we really grow business. You grow people first. And so that's really what I want to focus on today is like, what is your thermostat at today? What is your identity? Do you identify as someone that sells 20 homes a year? Do you identify as someone that sells 5 homes a year? Do you identify as someone that sells 30 homes a year? And if you think of yourself as someone who sells 50 homes a year, does that scare you or does that motivate you? It's not right or wrong, but be honest with yourself. And I think if you realize and you do the exercise that we did yesterday, if say it's 50 that I want to do, I want to sell 50 homes. Say I want to make, I'll just be transparent. There's people that are on this team, there's maybe 3 people on this team that are going to make over $200,000 a year in their pocket as an agent on this team. But Matt, you don't have good splits. You don't have, like, come on. But guess what those people did a long time ago? They were willing to push themselves past. And they became a person that can earn that amount of money before they started earning that amount of money. They learned the skill sets, they learned the habits, the routines, the rituals, and they're disciplined in what they do every single day. Are they perfect? No, we're human. But if you followed them around, you'd be very, very, very surprised in a pleasant way of like, oh, that's what they do. We just make assumptions, right? Like, I'll use Ryan as an example. Ryan doesn't do anything super, super sophisticated or sexy or over the top. And if you go back and listen...
Got that right.
But if you go back, I mean sexy in business. I don't know what he does at home. That's his business. But now he's getting red. Yeah, now he's getting red. But my point being is, like, if you go back and listen to Ryan's phone calls, if you go back and you listen to his consultations, if you shadowed him on his listing appointments or his showings, I don't mean this in a bad way, but there's nothing mind-boggling. There's nothing that any of you can't do. You're not willing to put in the time to build that discipline and that skill where you can do it consistently over and over and over and over again. Does that make sense? To where it's internalized and then it's second nature. You're able to make that adjustment. You're able to take this phone call or this listing appointment or this buyer's appointment from, oh shit, I think they're going to kick me out of the house or they're going to hang up, to, now I got a best friend. Make sense? Like, too many real estate agents have the wrong expectations and they're waiting for things to fall in their lap. Those are the agents that got out of the business. Those are the agents that didn't change with the marketplace. I'm literally preparing a speech for Conversion Con, which you guys should come, by the way, there's still tickets. You guys should check that out. It's going to be lead generation, lead conversion, like masterclass. So I'm privileged to be able to speak there. And I'm going to be speaking on the importance of depth of relationship in lead conversion. Sound familiar? We talked about that a little bit around here, right? That's something Ryan is really, really good at. He builds trust and rapport instantly. He deposits into that. And then he's able to guide them and lead them because he's built that trust and rapport. No script gives you that, right? Ryan just has a natural ability to do that. That's just who he is. And so I think he attracts that, but he also has built some disciplines and skills to be able to become that. My point being is, any of you can do those things. Just do you choose to? It's a choice.
I also think too, when he was talking about overachieving and how sometimes we are like, oh man, you have to evaluate the environment around you as well, because sometimes you spook yourself, but sometimes people around you will be like, you're growing too fast, it's making them uncomfortable, it's making them insecure, and so you make yourself smaller to make them feel more comfortable. And so that's one of the great things about this environment, is that we don't want anyone to be smaller. We want you to grow and grow and grow as much as you want to grow. But making sure that you're evaluating the environment around you and that the people that you have in your inner circle, not that you can't be friends with them, but in your inner circle, that they're not trying to make you smaller and trying to like push you down.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling. We've operated this company inside other offices where it was nothing but that. They didn't want you to grow. They didn't want you to be successful.
People want you to be under their thumb and they want to feel like I make people uncomfortable. You guys seen Deion Sanders said in an interview, he's like, I make people move in their seat. I make people uncomfortable when I sit across them. I'm not trying to be Deion, but I'm just saying, like, my mindset, and each of you being a part of this, you make agents uncomfortable, just so you know, which you should be proud as hell of, because that means you're a threat. That means that they know, oh shit, they get stuff done. These people do what they say and they mean it. They make a difference. Too many of us, like, we'll come to an environment, and that's why I like spending time here. And I've talked about this too. It's just kind of a tangent, but I think it's relevant. One of the reasons that it's so important that we do community events, one of the reasons it's so important that we do things like this, it's so important that we do things like our Cookies with Santa, or our Christmas party in Mexico, or our awards night, or our float trip, or anything that we do that we get together as a team, is because there's people that are close to us in our lives that aren't in this room right now. They don't get the feeling that we have. And when you come back all inspired and motivated, you make them feel uncomfortable. I don't know who that is in your life, but I do it a lot. And I think you can lose that enthusiasm because you go home and it's almost demotivating because you're excited, you're on fire, you want to share, and then there's like, that sounds stupid. Well, they weren't here. They don't know. And so if that's a spouse, if that's whatever that is, invite them into this environment so they can feel it. Culture is a living, breathing thing. You can't sell culture. You can't explain culture. Culture is a feeling. You have to feel it. And I just think too many of us allow other people's insecurities to keep us from living the life that we want to live. Because we're scared that they will make fun of us. Or they say, well, that'll never happen. Guys, there's proof in this room. Make it happen over and over and over and over again. I want to encourage you to dream big. I want to encourage you when you write your numbers on this board, put something up here that almost scares you and you wouldn't say outside of this room because it's like, oh, that's tough. And then stick to it. The one thing that you stick to. And if you do it, you can accomplish it. I think too many of us shrink ourselves because we make other people feel uncomfortable. We make them move in their seats. They don't understand who you're trying to become. They haven't done the work that you've done. They're not in the environment that you're in. They don't know that their thermostat can be raised alongside yours. But don't let that keep you at 75 degrees if you're meant to be 80 or 85 or 90 or 100, whatever that number is. One of the things I realized in my journey of and I'm still in the middle of it, but just personal development, and I'm always trying to become more, is you can't allow other people to dictate your next step, your next action, your next day. Like if you allow other people to dictate what you want, there's so many people, and they don't do it on purpose. I'm not trying to call them bad people, but there's people that just haven't done the internal work to become the person that you're trying to become. And if you haven't done that, then it's uncomfortable, and then it makes them feel different. It makes them feel weird, and they point the finger and say, you've changed. Why haven't you? Yes, I've changed. I'm not the same guy I was in high school. Thank God, right? But you know how long I let that keep me from growing? Because I wanted to keep the same friends. I still love those people. They're great people. They just weren't on my next path. I feel like we're all meant for more. And I want to encourage people to come with me. Things that makes this environment so special is that we are taking that next step and we encourage each other to take that next step together. And it's not my story versus Nick's or Nick's versus Eric's or Deshaun's versus Wes. It's not that. It's Deshaun versus the Deshaun he could be. It's Wes versus the Wes that he could be. It's Luis versus the Luis who he wants to become. It's you versus you. And if Luis wants to do X and Kristen wants to do X plus, that doesn't make Luis less. That doesn't make Kristen more. We all have different goals and aspirations and dreams and desires. But how about that support in this environment of helping them accomplish that? Encouraging them. Shouting them out when they do something the progress to get to become that person. I think too many times we look at perfect. Too many times we look at gaps. We look at what could be better. I want us to encourage you guys today to look at what's going well. What are you doing well? And how can you do more of it? I want you to leave this room proud of yourself. Has anyone ever left this kind of like deflated, like, man, I didn't hit my goals last quarter. I really got to change it. Has anyone ever felt that before? Instead of that, let's reverse that. And let's find something to be proud of ourselves. Let's find someone else that did something good. That, guess what? If one person can do it, so can someone else. You guys ever heard the story of 4 Minute Mile? I don't know the exact specifics, but I know the guy's name, Roger Bannister. Is that right? I think that's it.
The first name.
Yeah, Roger something. It started with a B. We'll call him Bannister. But it was for years and years and years and years, people were trying to break it, and it just never could happen. It was years. Every day, people were trying to break it. Nobody could break the 4 Minute Mile. It was deemed impossible. All of a sudden, one day, one guy breaks it. You know how many people broke it in the next 12 months?
Lots.
Hundreds. Had the belief, if one man can do it, so can another. And so I want to use that as the bar of belief. When someone comes up here and you see it, instead of being like, man, I wish I was better. No, if they can do it and I want it, I can get it too. Who do I need to become to get it? Reach out to them and say, hey, Nick, man, what's working for you? I know you said this go to the board. I want to go deeper on that. Really take me through what's working for you. Nick, would you share that with someone? That's this environment. But if you don't reach out and you don't ask, and you make assumptions, or you even play, some of us are probably guilty of this. That feeling that you get back when you're excited from an event like this, and you go to your spouse, you go to a family reunion, whatever, and people kind of belittle your ambition, and they project their insecurities onto you. Is anyone guilty of maybe doing that to someone else in this room from time to time? It happens. So I want to encourage us to encourage each other. How can we help someone be more? How can we help someone be better? And so there's a few things I'm going to go through. I think the theme of today is going to be our identity, because your identity determines your success. Who do you identify as? There's going to be a story at the end that I'm not going to give it away that will hopefully give you a whole other perspective of why we stop growing as humans. Because I think what's really, really cool for me, but it's also a huge challenge, is we have an environment that facilitates people to outgrow their identity on a consistent basis. They come in here, they plug in, and they accomplish more than they thought was possible. Raise your hand if that's happened to you. Cool. I want to help you today, once you get to that point, or if you haven't got to that point yet, how do we either get you there, or how do we get past there to that next thing? How do we raise your temperature, your thermometer? Thermostat, that one. How do we raise your thermostat so that you can become, now, your accomplishment is your new standard? Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so here's a couple notes. Controllables versus uncontrollables. I want you to write this down. We're going to go like negative on this. Forget the uncontrollables. They do not affect my life. Does anyone know anyone in their life that focuses on the things they can't control? Is that person someone you want to change lives with? Not a chance. There is no way in hell you can convince me someone that focuses on the uncontrollables and things out of their control is living the life that you want to live. So why do we do it? Forget it. Get rid of them. Focus on what you can control. What can you do today to win? How can you move the needle? How can you get closer? So forget the uncontrollables. Number 2, personal responsibility. You cannot change what you do not own. Does anyone have anything in their life that they would like to change for the better? Good news is, whatever that thing is you thought of, why it's not where you want it to be, it's your fault. It's bad news. It's your fault. Good news is, you can also be the solution. Number 3 is I cannot change what I do not own. Number 4, stop participating in things outside of my control. One of the things I want to condemn you guys for, and I hope I don't plant this seed, but John asked me yesterday on our call, how's your team doing with the distractions of today's political world? I'm like, I don't even think they know exist. We're head down getting our shit done, right? You guys felt the momentum recently in the last 3 weeks in our organization? Because guess what we're doing? We're following this blueprint. Like literally part of what I wrote here is what I've experienced that you guys have created over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I don't think success is anything new or crazy. It's just doing more of what we're doing that's working. I think you should go out and vote, but other than that, you know who you're voting for already. What they say is lies anyway, both of them, right? So it doesn't matter. You can't control it. So my point being is, stop participating in things that you have no control over. So my point being is, you probably already know who you're voting for. You know who you're voting for. Move the on and get on with your life and do something productive with it. Quick rant. On either side, and I'm not getting political, but I think where America has gone wrong is you think that this person that we're going to put in power is going to change everything for you. You know who can change everything for you? Mirror. That needs to become your best friend. Because if you don't change internal, the external does not matter. It does not matter. So stop participating in things outside of your control. Number 5, are there people winning right now? Are there people winning at high levels right now? I just shared from a team leader, he's going to double his business this year versus last year. And he wasn't small. It's going to be from 708 units to 1,400 units. In this marketplace, his market's down 40% and he's doubling. Parker Pemberton. So I met him in some masterminds. He's a phenomenal leader. Like I put a post right before this from him in the private group, and I'll boil it down. Go read it. It's like messages like that he shares with his team. It boils down to, guess what the agents that are winning in this marketplace are doing? They're controlling the controllables, and they know what their contacts is each day, and they're having them, period. His is 10 conversations a day. Nothing else matters if you don't have your 10 contacts. Nothing. Do that first. It's crazy. Their business doubled. Right? So there's people winning. Are there people losing? A lot. Probably more people losing than winning. Would you guys agree? So congratulations. You're not losing. You're still here. What are you doing right now that's helping you become a winner? And how can you do more of it? Think about that when we come to the board. Make sense? Who is the person that you have to become to accomplish what you want to accomplish? One of the things that we talked about yesterday in the meeting was so often we see, this is Jenna's words, I'm just stealing them. So often we see a view of what we want, and we know what it'll take to get there, but for some reason we don't take the actions we're supposed to take. Anyone relate with that? We're human. I think one of the things that gets us stuck that I want to help you unpack today is I think that is why that happens consistently is because we don't identify as somebody that does what I say I'm going to do day in and day out. Once you have that identity crisis becomes a whole different problem. Because now if you say it, it's coming to life. There's been times in my life where like Amanda said like, holy shit, are you psychic? No, I fulfill my commitments I made to myself and my family. And guess what? The thing we said would happen, happened. Pretty crazy, right? But guess what? I identify as someone when I say I'm going to do it, I do it. Am I perfect? No, far from it. But I think too many people get stuck in that and then they go in this negative thing, well, now I'm too far behind and now it's your identity, guys. What happens is you probably overachieved, whether it's a big or little. Like as an example, has anyone underachieved before? You've been in a dark place, you have tough times? How'd you get out of it?
Harder.
Why don't we work harder when things are great? We don't have that same pressure on ourselves because we cool ourselves down when we start doing too good. Just like we heat ourselves up when we start doing worse. When you get down to 0 pendings and you got bills coming, how many of you know you're going to get pendings? When you have 10 pendings, how many of you know you're going to get 12? Couple, not everyone. What's the difference? It's our identity. It's what we do daily. Does that make sense? Here's a thought. How many of you are going to put a number up here on the board that stretches you to something you haven't accomplished yet? A couple of you? Awesome. I love it. For those of you that raise your hand, I got bad news. You know why you haven't accomplished it yet? Because you haven't become the person that accomplishes things like that yet. You have to become before you get. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to discourage you from putting a number that stretches you. I just want you to realize when you do, the real work is what you do internal, who you become. If you want to become a millionaire, you have to act as if you're a millionaire. If you want to become someone that sells 20 houses, you got to act as if you're someone who sells 20 houses first. It doesn't happen by accident. That was the COVID market. That's gone, right? Those accidental home sales are a thing of the past.